Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week number 287 of the virtual Cobalt Cafe Poetry Reading Series. My name is Rick Lupert. Happy to have you here with us tonight, or perhaps this afternoon if you're joining us from Japan or other parts of the world. In fact, our featured reader, Kazuaki, is here from Japan. So, very excited to have you with us today, Kazuaki. We're going to do a little bit of our open reading first, and then we will have our featured reader, Kazuaki, read, and then we will have the rest of the open reading. And it's going to be fantastic. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm your MC. If you would like to be added to the open reading list and you haven't already done so, please send me a message in the chat, and I will be happy to add you to the list. As always, it's 2 poems maximum and less is more is the suggested time limit. You should have the chat room open so you can interact with each other and see what people are saying about the poems that are being read. And you can say things about the poems being read there or just chat with each other, post links, whatever you would like to do. Make sure you don't miss out on that aspect of this gathering. Finally, we do have a 1 drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe. It's Nuda Extra Añejo night here in New Hall, California. So, in case anyone is wondering about that. I believe that's everything I need to tell you. Before we get on with our first reader, I'd like to ask if there are any questions. Yes, Martin Parker.
Good evening, Rick. My question tonight is rolled oats or oatmeal? Any opinions?
I'm against them both. Um, However, thanks to an important conversation with my doctor not too long ago, I'm now eating them every morning. Steel cut if I can swing it. Sometimes rolled oats, sometimes little packets in which I'm not even sure what kind of oat it is. Oats are a regular part of my morning routine these days. I don't like it at all, but that's just how it is because the doctor said if you would like to keep on doing cobalt for the next 63 years, you're going to need to have more fiber in your diet.
Mhm. Well, I may hear some other opinions later.
All right. Can't wait. Thank you, Martin. Any other questions before we get going? I see no other questions. Okay. Well, oh, Cathabella. Okay, there you go. Your hand shot up there.
Tell us your experience of Japan. How did it feel to you?
Well, it felt great, much better than oats of any kind, honestly. I've been to Japan twice, once on a 2 week trip where I was in Tokyo and Kyoto for about a week each with day trips here and there. It was an extraordinary country. It was beautiful. The food was fantastic. Um, we really loved it there to the point where when we had the opportunity to go back, we did. In fact, last summer, we went on a cruise around Japan, as you may know, and we visited many little cities that we had never even heard of, let alone been to and seen all kinds of wonderful things. So yeah, I feel really good about Japan, Cathabella.
And Kazuaki will always welcome us there. We have a special destination, the Sanford Goldstein Museum, which Kazuaki actually built himself and maintains in Japan. So we all have to remember that if we have the opportunity, we should visit him, right? He always says spring, summer, winter, autumn, winter, New Year's, we're welcome all the time, right, Kazuaki?
Well, Cathabella, if I let you talk any longer, we run the risk of this being your time in the open mic. So I appreciate uh, that, but a good question, and we will hear more from you in a little bit. Thank you, Cathabella. Any other questions before we get going? All right, well, we are going to get going. On deck, our second reader will be Christopher T. George. Please welcome our first reader, Christopher Bogart. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, Rick. I see you getting rid of all the Christophers in the beginning. So I'll get started right now. I'm going to read uncharacteristically a funny poem, which I rarely ever do. And it's called The Day the Lesbians Painted Our House. I don't want anybody offended by that. It's just simply, you'll see when you hear the poem what this is about. The day the lesbians painted our house was a memorable affair. My mother kept my sister inside that day. Play in your room, she barked. Why? My 5-year-old sister whined. It's so nice outside today. No, it's not, my mother frantically cried. Do what I tell you to do. Fine, my sister pouted, shaking her head, rolling her eyes, and stomping her feet up the stairs. Confined to a room, she laid her dolls out, straight in a very straight line. They were girl dolls, all of them. She didn't have any Ken dolls, any G.I. Joes, and not one Raggedy Andy. Chatty Cathy snuggled up next to wee Betsy Wetsy, with Malibu Barbie wedged tight in between. What a bizarre social scene, with her big bridal doll at the end of the line, in a white bridal veil, wrapped round her head in a snood. But besides dangling pearl earrings, she was totally nude. Stay away from the windows, my mother shouted up the stairs. As the house-painting lesbians set up their ladders, spread out their drop cloths, and prepared to paint our house. A few hours later, at the end of the day, the ladders, the drop cloths, the paint cans, and brushes were all neatly put away. My mother went out, paid those house-painting lesbians. They shook her hand firmly. The van drove away. Would you believe they tried to hit on me? My mother exclaimed as she slammed shut the door. The house shook a bit. A big bridal doll with her white lace veil and her dangling pearl earrings took a header off the bed, falling face down onto the floor. The wedding, it seemed, was off. That's the first one. And then the second one I would like to read would be slightly more serious one. It's called Picnic. At the end of a hospital visit with my aunt, I walked down the long blue corridor towards the elevators and slowly gaining ground on an orderly dressed all in blue. The fingers of his right hand were wrapped firmly around the rattan handles of a wicker basket. I must admit to a little curiosity, if not a little amusement, at the incongruity of a picnic basket lined with a red and white checkered tablecloth in the hands of a hospital orderly. We turned together to face the elevator door. I was heading to my car to bring my aunt home. He, I mused, to a plot of green grass under a small tree, maybe across from the hospital parking lot, and in that semi-secluded spot to enjoy a quiet lunch, away from illness and the grim realities of a hectic hospital day. The doors rolled open slowly. He gestured for me to enter first. Then he turned and faced the door. What floor? He asked, as he pushed the button labeled B. Ground floor, please, I responded. He nodded and pressed G. I sighed as I thought of my aunt's recent illness and how happy I was to be taking her home. The elevator lurched into action and downward. He stared solemnly at the metallic doors. To break the tension, I opined, You must be looking forward to lunch. Then asked, going on a picnic? He turned his head ever so slightly toward me and smiled, ever so politely, if a little pointed, then looked down at the basket in his hand. Oh, you mean this, he sighed with a heavy heart. Hardly any attitude to take at the prospect of a picnic. No, he said, this isn't what you think. Well, I wondered, what else could it be? This, he gestured to the basket, is so not to alarm the visitors. I'm transporting this infant to the morgue in the basement. In the brief silence that ensued, mercifully, the bell rung and the doors of the elevator opened. Ground floor, he stated plainly, and to my eternal relief, he stepped aside to let me pass. I did not look back as the doors closed behind me, and the elevator made its solemn way to the basement below. I had to get my car. My aunt was being released from the hospital today. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Nice to hear some humor and to start the event off. And the second piece was nice as well and wistful. Thank you so much for sharing both of those with us. You're right. We are top loading the event with Christopher's. Just there's a lot of Christopher energy here tonight. I just want to make sure we get it out right away so the rest of the reading can float along top of it. Thank you for being our first Christopher tonight. Round of applause for Christopher Bogart. Tammy Haddis, you are on deck. Please welcome now our second Christopher of the Christopher phase of the evening, Christopher T. George. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, and I have to carry on with another theme from Christopher Bogart. You have the Union Jack there again. This is a postcard that I wrote in, looks like 1978 with the pictures of the Queen on it. Anyway, last Thursday in my native Liverpool, something happened. I think you can see that. It's the grave of a 2-year-old boy who was murdered in 1993, February 1993. Somebody vandalized it, lopped off the heads of 2 angels, and even the photograph of the little boy at the top has been marked up. And this is the inscription from his parents. In loving memory of our beloved son, James Patrick Bulger, born 16th March 1990, died at 12th February 1993. There is not a day that goes by that we think of you and cry. You brought us so many happy days. We will always love and remember you, James. May God keep you in his care until the day that we get there. Good night and good bless, and God bless. Little innocent babe. Love, hugs and kisses, Mom and Dad. And he was abducted from a shopping centre where his mother was with him, and by 2 10-year-old boys, tortured and murdered on a railway line not too far away. To James Bulger, age 2, murdered February 1993 by 2 boys, aged 10, in Liverpool, England. Everybody's little boy. The mounds of bouquets near the railway embankment say so. The surprised little face. Ninja Turtle t-shirt. Take my hand. I'm your friend. The blurred images on the video. Child's hand holding child's hand. The New Strand Shopping Centre, Liverpool, Walton, Bootle. There are places I remember. Take my hand. I want to hold your hand. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I remember a time when eyes were knee-high, when everything seemed beautiful. His mother in the butcher's shop. Come together. Hold my hand. The mound of bouquets by the railway embankment for everybody's little boy. There are places I'll remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, but not for better. The photograph among the flowers of the surprised little face, Ninja Turtle t-shirt, a sadness so deep its tears leave a spectator to a video image, an unlived life. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Wow, I guess the theme tonight is sadness and people leaving us too soon, and lesbians painting your house. So we've got a lot of ground covered here. Thank you for being here tonight. Long live the United Kingdom. We'll just say that as the other theme that has popped up. Round of applause for, yes, Christopher T. George. Thank you, Christopher. On deck is Roger Funston. Please welcome Tammy Haddis. Hello, Tammy. Tammy, are you with us?
Okay. I'm so sorry I was on mute. I can't believe, yeah. I have a piece called A Meetup with Frida. Okay. I saw Frida Kahlo's phone number in the bathroom stall of Roman's bookstore. I put it in my phone and texted her to meet at my house. I told her to just enter my home. She didn't have to knock. We both suffered with pain since the age of 18 and wanted to be doctors. We both had bushy eyebrows, but I liked to tweeze mine, which made my hands too sore to write poetry. We both had fused spines, leaving us lying in bed for hours upon hours. I never understood how she was comfortable lying down with her elaborate updos. We were in my bedroom where I had 2 twin beds. I knew we would get tired and have to rest. She brought one of her parrots and I brought mine. We showed each other the scars on our backs and talked about the metal in our spines. We geeked out on anatomy and I talked about how all my doctors were mean. She said hers were great men. I had scoliosis, I told her, and they had to fuse 12 vertebrae into solid bone. My scar is longer than any of yours, Frida. Frida met my eyes with a competitive glare. The bus broke my pubic bone, she told me. I know. I'm so sorry. I think we look alike when we're both sad, I said. We became tired. We lay in our respective beds. We held hands while she told me about living in Diego's armpit. I asked her if she was really Jewish, and she said, no, I made that up. What do you mean you lied? I thought we could be related. I could have sworn you were in my family tree because I feel you are my twin. Frida responded, I hated Andre Breton's hoity-toity surrealism coterie. All they did was gossip, thinking they were gods of the world. I hated those sons of bitches, so I told them I was Jewish to see their reaction. My mouth was agape. I was crestfallen, staring into her sad eyes. She then kissed me on my lips, which were down feathers soaked in ylang-ylang. I had to create drama for my art, she smiled. She placed in my palm the ivory hand earrings that Picasso had purportedly made her. I got these at the dollar store. They're yours. I found myself at a loss for words. Next time, let's go out for dinner. My treat. Diego's being an ass again. She vanished. I didn't even hear the door close. I tried to look in the palms of my hands, but they were 2 clenched fists. I opened them up. Glittering butterflies released, leaving trails of gold dust all over my carpet. The earrings were not to be found.
Tammy, that was really beautiful. I love the image of the butterflies flittering out just because you opened your hand. Thank you so much for being here. It's nice to see you again. As always, round of applause for Tammy Haddis. On deck, we've got 2 more readers, and then our featured reader, Kazuaki. Ike Waltz, you are on deck. Please welcome now Roger Funston. Hello, Roger.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see everyone. I have two pieces tonight I wanted to read. The first is Tonka Prose. Diane and I spent 3 weeks in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, and we like to go to out-of-the-way places off the beaten track. And so this is one of the places we visited that we really liked. Mask Museum. Is this the place? The Uber driver had dropped us off in a residential neighborhood on a hill in San Miguel de Allende. No signage, just a heavy wooden door. We ring the bell. Hola, estamos aquí para el recorrido. We are here for the tour. We hear a buzz and push the door open. We enter a cavernous courtyard with a fountain. It has a terracotta clay base decorated with folk art figurines. The back is dark blue tile. There are 2 terracotta clay bowls, one halfway up, the other near the top. The fountain sets on a cobblestone floor surrounded by plants. There is a mural of a dancing senorita in a red flowery dress. A cylindrical ceramic piece depicts an indigenous family. Several masks sit on indented shelves in the walls with glass covers. We climb the stairs, open the door, and enter a room where a group of 20 are gathered, greeted by a 70-something Norte Americano man wearing an LL Bean plaid shirt, vest, and casual slacks. He gives a 30-minute lecture on indigenous tribes and how the museum came to be. He is engaging, humorous, passionate, sharing with anyone who listens. Admissions is 100 pesos, $5. The house and museum were built on bare ground in 1997. After his world travels and a corporate job, he decided to move to San Miguel de Allende to pursue his passion. With no academic credentials, he spent 26 years in the field with an archaeologist. He learned about indigenous cultures who have kept and passed on their traditions through generations. He acquired indigenous masks used in ceremonies, becoming an expert and university lecturer. There are 64 languages recognized in the Mexican Constitution, concentrated in the southern part of Mexico. These tribes were never conquered by the conquistadores because they lived mostly in remote mountainous areas and deserts. Indigenous owners of masks often refused to part with them as they were inherited from their great-grandfathers. They sometimes offer a less cherished mask, the ones displayed at the museum. The actual museum spans 3 rooms. We spend time examining each of the amazing masks. Several catch my eye. One with a toothy open mouth, black dye under the eyes and nose, gray hair and beard. Another with white eyes, red-tipped, smiling with tufts of brown hair and beard. A third with red cheeks, eye holes, bushy eyebrows, and beard. A map on the wall shows the location of every indigenous tribe. A streaming video shows masks worn during ceremonies, rooted in pre-Hispanic traditions. Masks are used in ritual dances that transform the dancer into a spirit, ancestor, or deity, praying for community welfare and prosperity. The masks often appear as jaguars, serpents, deers, coyotes, the devil, mocking Spaniards, or satirical figures, clowns, or old men. Indigenous tribes in Mexico struggle to balance their tradition while simultaneously facing the challenge of minorities living in the modern world: poverty, lack of access to healthcare, education, and housing, and systematic discrimination, impacting their cultural survival. I'm thinking these thoughts while at the same time enthralled by the colorful variety, shapes, and creativity of masks in this off-the-tourist route hidden gem. Still in the museum after most have left, the owner invites me into a room with masks for sale. The first mask that catches my eye is $20,000. Time to move on. Then I see it. The curator's catalog labels it Payoso, clown. It was made by the Totonic tribe in the state of Veracruz. It's pink-colored, smiling with black irises, holes instead of eyebrows, and a blue and red face paint. It now adorns my living room wall. Indigenous culture, celebrated with ornate masks, link past and future. And my second piece is just a shorter poem because I know I'm running long. And it's a new poem I've written called Time. Sometimes time flies. Watch children play baseball. Flashback 25 years ago when my son played club ball, replaced by tennis tournaments, marching band competitions, shuttling here and there, meals on the fly. It seemed this time would never end, but it was over in the blink of an eye. Sometimes time drags, sitting in my fourth meeting of the day, pretending to be interested when I'm really thinking about my next poem, lost in a sea of absurdities, diverted by the latest corporate whim, spending my time on the mundane when there are so many important things to do, wishing it were later so I could drive back across the desert to you. Sometimes time stops for a moment. The first time I sat next to you in a stolen seat, feeling the chemistry, awakening feelings I thought were dead. And then time started again as I took up pen to start writing rhymes, my new life with you unfolding in its own time. Thank you.
Roger, thank you. It is also very nice to see you again. You're always part of this group, and when you're here, it just feels kind of natural. So nice to have you in this space tonight.
Well, thank you, Rick.
I love anything related to travel, and I love the idea of feel an affinity with off the beaten path things as well as famous things as well. I go both ways when traveling, I'd have to say. So very cool. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Roger Funston. On deck is our featured reader, Kazuaki. Please welcome Ike Waltz. Hello, Ike.
Hello, Rick. Hello, all. The penthouse. Yes, it's me, you see. 1,500 feet above Billionaire's Row, dangling outside the penthouse on the 130th floor. Can you see my sweat and tears? Risking life every day, all seasons. It's me, you see, who washes the windows of the filthy rich, so they can always better see by ignoring me. It's the outside they love to see, not my frozen teeth, not getting struck twice by lightning, not feeling the burn of summer's heat, not swaying in vicious winter storms, not dangling outside at Fahrenheit -32, making a naked buck $20 in plain sight. Death always on my side. Inside, they live an existence of cozy supremacy, armored with the power of corruption, shielded inside layers of fog and suspicious clouds. Obscurity called the $1 million penthouse exclusivity. Actually, when it comes to it, the fearless rich are afraid of me. I might break the glass or even scratch its shine, as I could do so easily. One broken glass, trust me, would close down this $1 million 130th floor penthouse, as nature takes over instantly and the temperature drops in the market of stocks. There's no penthouse anymore. Once I thought this thought would set me free, but I grew content, slowly though, as I realized that on every next day the windows I had cleaned previously will be dirty again. And all I know, and so let it be, that the rich want to see what I can't reach, that the rich have greed to possess, why beyond else's basic need. They go home to a penthouse in an elevator, enjoying life closest to thank God. It's me, you see, they don't see, and nobody is washing windows like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ike. Speaking as a poet, and thus a member of the not rich community, like all of us, I want to say thank you for your words and your perspective there, and thanks for being here tonight. Round of applause for Ike Waltz. Thank you, Ike. On deck after our featured reader will be Sean Mahoney, which leads us now to our featured reader Kazuaki, who is going by Tangled Hair by his name in Zoom tonight. Kazuaki has been here once before in Cobalt Poets. He is a friend and colleague of many of our regulars. Cathabella earlier mentioned that Kazuaki is someone who really is a major influential force in the work that that group does in creating the short little poems that they bring to us every week in collaborative form. That's quite a compliment to get Kazuaki. In his bio, he says Kazuaki Wakui picked up the pen he dropped and started to write tanka in English in 2023 to explore the eternity in a moment, the entire universe in a grain of sand. I'm really curious what was going on when the pen was still in your hand, Kazuaki, the first time around. He is a leading poet for the Tanka Round Table, a weekly poetry session, and the curator of the Sanford Goldstein Memorial Tanka Museum, which sounds like a fascinating place. Kazuaki is reading to us today from where he lives in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our featured reader, Kazuaki.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick, for inviting me. I'm such an honored to be here. I'm going to read my 50 and some more pieces of tanka, but before I started, I did a kind of brief self introduction. I live in Japan. I lived with Sanford Goldstein for 28 years and 5 months until the moment he passed away. And he willingly broke away from his country, United States of America, and but partially and mainly because of me, because there is something between us. And he taught me every day, I taught him every day, and we have even now have conversation every day, each other. Yes, it has been told the modern American poetry began with Ezra Pound, and William Carlos Williams wrote famous The Red Wheelbarrow, based on his first-hand experience, daily experience. And that was revolutionary, I think. But it was happening in Japan, newly born modern Japan, late 19th century to early 20th century, where the East met West, then the West met East. When he came to Japan to start to translate modern Japanese literature and poetry, he was jolted. And when he came across Ishikawa Takuboku, the first true modernist poet. He died young and in poverty. He and his essay, Poem to Eat, he Sunday was totally convinced and saying, "This is what I'm searching for." And Takuboku said in his essay, poems must not be what is so-called poetry. It must be an exact report on honest diary of the changes in a man's emotional life. He said, a first-hand experience of your own. Don't make up pretty story, something like that. So anyway, as Rick said, I picked up his pen and I'm here. So I'm going to start. Yes. Only the half moon, so white, vertically seen from the stretcher, being carried into ambulance. The bottom of the air, dawn of metropolis, I passed by a dotard, stealing aluminum from the garbage cans for living. In dim lights of the collector's house, with her thousands of dolls, she showed me a Dali's print. Behind L-shaped counter with 6 stools, a beard man quietly cutting green onions. Cold wind blowing through the backyard. An old widow leaps along wintry chives. Walking in the dark at 3 a.m., the quiet table lamp under which friend is reading. At the lounge, waiting for my turn, after a woman who is flipping over the magazine. Drowsy evening, a piper blows on and off at the corner of the bank. An old postcard in the drawer that had picture of a man whose face is below the head. Walking through a crowd to seek something. Walking in strange street like someone who is not anyone. Farmers steal water from each other in the dim light before crack of dawn. From the lowest angle, winter solstice horizontally penetrates through the naked forest to the deepest. The bright night of anxiety, of emptiness, where angels be. The same corner for the 3 consecutive nights, the schoolgirl with cell phone in hand sit alone. The bottom of the thick air where green is so dark. I'm going on a bus. Next one. Aphorism. What I see through the woman performing Buto is no spook, but very myself. You, once an individual, have become an endless subject to the medical colonization. Is the art of divination Lorna's everyday best friend? Few moms are aware that every child in the sandbox plays in its absolute solitude. A pocket dial leads to nowhere, yet stirs up Lorna's pipe dreams. Fireflies has a dream in his little lantern, which is to fade out in no time. Dim, dim, Minerva's all show the path to follow, only through the light dreams near dawn. the third one, where the emotions hard to get close to exist. Mother returned all the belongings to the prodigal daughter and told her in tears never to come again. See him off at airport for Okinawa, who is soon going to be total blind after the years of surgeries. Gently, his mother patting his head at the age of 9. It was Akaki's first and last happiness ever. With one flew over the cuckoo's nest experience, he keeps burning the ember of revenge for 50 years. I quietly recall that summer when the last Dadaist threw himself into the moat in Osaka. He says his most favorite poet is Emil Cioran, who gives him a piece, and I half agree. Ash Wednesday's midnight, I listened to the car radio, reading a story of Alphonse and Rennie Pelagie. Your sadness, loneliness, and dementia had taught me that this planet will still knows the virtue of modesty. In the end, she calmly suggests we came too far through the single mountain pass. Daily excitement. In the cerulean blue at dusk, honey hue cloud mixed with tears goes by. Greeted a boy who was waiting for mom to pick him up at the twilight school gate. Greasy truck of the oil collector making soap from it smells like the ink I handle. A woman who lives on welfare treated me a pizza at an Italian restaurant for my birthday. She raised her hand with all the eyes and brains on it to objectively measure herself. Making water, hearing a bamboo in the distance be faintly cracked. Seeing the sunset amber coming through. The young cellist, so confident of his gut strings, played Vivaldi's RB 820, which is unfinished. For the first time, I harmlessly released a finch trapped inside by sincerely persuading it. A boy dearly holds his big shopping bag on the midnight bus way home from Tokyo. Finally throw out an apple that had lost crispness and juice, for I kept it too long. Buy a romance, which is extremely expensive, from the man who alone burned salt on the Dory seashore. Woman on the eve of menopause suddenly said, the very last day of the year, she wants a baby. At the gallery memorial, I see a woman who is a carbon copy of her late mother. Love or less than love, this ambiguity suspended in air, It's hard to either hold on or scissor off. Freezing midnight, a phone call from the deserted booth nearby. She said, "My cell phone is broken." The woman whose welfare gets discontinued innocently smiles as if nothing happened. 2 days before winter solstice, I have perfect welcome with no crowd the whole day. Dust blurred long sunset way home, dragging my feet with flat, tired bike. I was 12 years old. Heron and Cranes finally exchanged a few words with Bouquet Garni. Last one. Meta history. As the serpent gave the fruit to those who had lived like a pair of pigs, history began. Korean nationalism, he grasps, integrated with Christianity in heart. He chose death after the 8 years of torture. Before the death, the doctor finally confessed he gave methamphetamine shot to the zero fighters to forge the myth. In return, top officials of 731 unit with impunity became dominant figures in the post-war medical society. The third day of the year, I pondered the reason why Ezra Pound became such an advocate of Mussolini. Daughters whose Korean grandmothers were forced to be the wartime sex slaves have a reader of Langston Hughes. "Give me your hand," a young woman asked him at the age of 15, and strangled a baby in Manchuria on August 16, 1845. Rita was then 12 years old, daughter of the Tokyo sarin offender, bullied for 3 decades. I met her yesterday, wishing she would write tanka. The last one. Rewinding the watch that stopped decades ago, with once the girl who owned it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Kazuaki, thank you so much. Beautiful set of tanka that you've shared with us. You've given us a really great example of that style, of that form of work. Very much appreciate it. We see now what you've done since you've picked up the pen again. I appreciated at the beginning the introduction of where you were coming from, why the pen was dropped, why it was picked back up. I also want to mention, I think your hat is fabulous, and you are rivaling Cathabella for, or maybe she's inspired by your hats. She often is wearing a hat, a similar hat. I'm not sure who came first in the hat world, but it feels important to mention. What's that?
Casabel came first. Casabel
She came first. Okay.
She's the founder.
Well,
she's the founder of the Flower Hat Club.
I see. Okay. Well, she's in charge of the hat club, and you're in charge of the tanka club, as far as I'm concerned. So it's good that you can have a two-way street in terms of what you offer each other. I just pasted the link to the broadside in the chat, and I'll share the screen to show it to everyone as well. This is one of Kazuaki's tanka based on an actual memory. I would like to mention that, when I make the broadsides, I'm kind of using my own sensibility based on what it is that I'm sent and read, and it's a kind of a reminder that when we put art out there, we may perceive it in a different way than it was intended. And Kazuaki mentioned to me when he saw the flyer artwork that that his memory of the moon and the sky was a much brighter than what I'd presented in the flyer. So when you look at this, keep that in mind, because I'd like you to at least have the spirit of the intention of his work in your mind, even though I came up with a slightly darker approach in this. But at any rate, you can download this now at the Cobalt Poets website, poetrysuperhighway.com/cobalt. Kazuaki, we typically at this point offer people the opportunity to tip the poet by PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or something. So if you have an idea in one of those places, please type it into the chat so we can pay you for your reading. We can say thank you for all the work that you gave to us today.
Oh, I'm paid for this?
Well, it's like tipping. Like when you go to a restaurant and you give extra money for good service, it's tipping. So, but we have to, since we're not in the same place, we do it electronically. So I don't know if in Japan, if you have access to Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, something like that. But if you do, put your ID in the chat. If you don't, that's okay. We very much appreciate what you did, and we'll find other ways to support you, and we'll, I guess, be creative about that. But there you go. So Kazuaki, really appreciated your presence and your work here tonight. It's the middle of the day in Japan, and here in the States, it's the evening. It's beautiful to have the world, the big world connected via this technology. So your presence here makes our world a little bit smaller, which is very much needed now when so many divisive lines are happening all over the place. So thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for our featured reader, Kazuaki.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much.
You are very, 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 very welcome. All right, we're gonna move on for the rest of the. Come back anytime, by the way, Kazuaki. The open reading is always open to you. I will quickly mention before we get to the rest of tonight's open reading that next week our featured reader is Kim Addonizio. Kim is a very well-known and accomplished poet. And I invited her to read because A, she's never read at the Cobalt before, and B, because I think she's kind of a big deal. And next week coincides with Broadside number 700. Since I started making broadsides back when the Cobalt was an in-person series. I think it was 2003 the first broadside was made, and we made them and printed them out, and people would buy them for they'd give a minimum $1 donation. Sometimes people would give more, and they'd take a printed broadside with them for that, and the author who was there, because it was in person, would sign them, and all the money went to the poet. And it was when that went on between 2003 and 2014, and then the Cobalt closed, and this series was on pause for a while until the pandemic started, and we launched again as a Zoom series. And so now the broadsides are digital, and you tip poets electronically. But we picked up right where we left off, whatever the number was when we started the reading here again. And was it 2021? I don't remember exactly. It was the next number in the broadside series. We've gone through a couple hundred here in this series, maybe 200, and I can tell you exactly. This is a reading number 287. So I guess we've had that many broadsides digitally since we started up as a Zoom series. So number 700 is next week, and Kim Addonizio will be our featured reader. All right, moving on. That leads us to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have in this order. Sean Mahoney, Julian Matthews, Martin Parker, the collab, Jackie Cathabella and Lakshman Bulusu, then Jennifer Elise Wang, Bill Gaines, Michael G. Hickey, and me. There's a bunch of people here who might have missed the introductory remarks and how to sign up. If you're here and you would like to sign up to read still, that's okay. Just send me a message in the chat and I'll be happy to add you to the list. As a reminder, or as perhaps new information for those of you who came a little later, 2 poems maximum, less is more is the suggested time limit. On deck will be Julian Matthews. Please welcome now Sean Mahoney. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Rick. Hi, everyone. I had some trouble tonight trying to decide what to read because you may not have heard we're at war again. So I settled on something that wasn't about war or people getting killed. Yeah, this is something new, and it doesn't follow along with Rick's advice, which is to always practice a couple of times before you read it publicly. I have not done that, sir. I apologize in advance. This is called Walking Stick. Where is the switch? How are we protected? What rules engage? Airports may be the best for what the fuck emoji eyes and twisty body language as though any assistive device were 20 times the size of my moss-covered three-handled family Gridunza. Nice try. Once there was a law and street tar slowed you to a crawl. What walks with 4 legs? Your drunk baby ass in mourning. Eyes held just out of their sockets like cash. Who? With his shiny toy gun and gathered up protections for his evolving underage harem conspiracy? Very good boy. See the human with their cane walking like other humans. Imagine that. That person has a pigeon toe. That one, a blunted foot. And there, artificial. Place a star on that file folder full of crypts and walk with your 2 legs to the room of human disposal. Capital ideas spill from the mouth, remain frightened of stairs missing banisters for upthrust, balance. How are we protected? Streets, hunting grounds for girls and boys. Even disabled can be marketed. Feed us all crypto platforms. And while I almost typed out playthings instead, what gave the writer pause was the idea, the current belief in half a person, less human, thug, animal. All of us carrion. All of us ate as raw-dogged raw dough. All of us asked to be let in as if obligation engages with a quick nap. Bone spurs? How about a stolen erection? Or a queen of mercy appearing before you daily and repeating, love the least among you, for the rest of your stink time? Oedipus gets that crazy spot. Crips, being freaks, will continue the freaking dance. Rub that hot sweat off on your bare shoulder. Spray you wet when the bass drops. The hammer drops. The nail gun drops the beat and fires icicles. Drip, drip, cut right through me like main sequence stars push out from nebulae. Thank you.
Solid piece tonight, Sean. Of course, I'm stuck on the concept of the stolen erection. How did anyone get away with that? Is it a repeat offender? Is there a bag of stolen erection somewhere that they're trying to keep from the authorities?
Would it
I'm
be
not
considered
sure.
a cold case or?
Hard to know. I'd have to say to that one, Sean. But glad to hear it. Yes, we're at war. Thank you for the news
Sorry.
as well. Terrible situation we find ourselves in the world. You leaned forward. Did you want to say something?
No, just bowing my head.
I lean forward a
It was
lot
sort of a
with
quiet
nothing
moment, a somber
to
assessment
say.
you just
Sure.
gave.
I'm not sure I ever said you should practice your poems twice. I kind of consider this practice when you read them at open mics.
Did I say twice? Well, you didn't give a specific number, and I agree with you. You should practice a few times before reading it publicly. But when that came up, I was reading something, and I stopped mid-poet poem and corrected myself and redid it right there. And you remarked about it at the end. Chastise me through bullet
I
text.
say a lot of things and only mean a third of them, I think. But
How am I supposed to know that in a digital environment?
that's, I'm getting a lot of messages from people who are misinterpreting what I'm saying lately. So I hear you. I'll try to be more opaque about these things in the future. But practice if you must. It's fine. Sean, thank you for being here.
Cheers. Thank you.
Round of applause for Sean Mahoney. On deck, Martin Parker. Please welcome Julian Matthews. Hi, Julian.
Hi. Full screen. So this is called oh, a letter from the skeleton in my closet. Dear human, hey you, did you forget us? We're still in here, still holding things together. You've been feeling, oops, lost it. Sorry. Let us read it. Dear human, hey you, did you forget us? We're still in here, still holding things together. You've been feeling a little brittle lately. It's been a while since you cracked one of us up. It's not funny when it does happen though, but we mend quick, unlike your broken heart. By the way, that's a misnomer. Hearts don't break. We should know. We have an intimate knowledge of yours. Yes, they have emotions, they hurt, they grieve at losses. They grow weary from the grind of daily living. They pound a little harder now and then from joy, pain, and codependent loving. But they never split, snap, sunder. Breaking is our department. And when it comes to the heart, we gotcha. Hearts may sink a little lower now and then, but our brother sternum lifts them up. So never fear. They're safe in brother ribcage, working together with cartilage. Cage is a misnomer for sure. No Nicholas is going to show up to bust you out of this island. Your heart is not a prisoner of ours, and certainly neither are your lungs. They beat and breathe for you, liberate your very existence. They have ever since shortly after conception. Our ribs aren't prison bars either, We are connectors, not incarcerators. You always seek connections outside of you. You think of us as the connections within. The 206 of us working in tandem with ligaments, muscles, and tendons to keep you framed. Age takes a toll on us, as you know, and you aren't getting any bonier. So when you hurt your back recently, strained and pulled, slipped a disc or two, we felt it, and we're working on it. Calcium is a precious resource in here. You gotta help us with the dairy intake. Yoga and exercise may help too, and for gravity's sake, learn to meditate. Listen to your body. So in the silence, you can hear us. We'd call direct, but the cell plans in here cost an arm and a leg. So this letter will have to do. When they say strengthen your core, I think some part of that means us. Lame advice. Hey, don't diss it. There is a reason the only medical guy on Star Trek's Enterprise was called Bones. Here's a little secret though. There are no skeletons in your closet. Metaphorically, of course. But this literal skeleton has a bone or two to pick with you. The reason for this missive. Did you know as a newborn baby we were 300 strong? Sort of like the Spartans. We'd made you X-ray ordinary from the get-go. Eventually 300 fused to 206, but none of us has lost the will to do battle. We are in this for the long run. We continue to make blood cells in our marrows all throughout your lifetime at the rate of 220 billion new cells a day. Who needs adamantine when you have tiny iron men within? And did you know that iron and calcium in bones came from exploding stars? Truly, from a galaxy far, far away. Luke, Leia, and Han are made up of the same stardust as you. So we bones are tired of your boneheadedness. We're putting you on notice. Stop with all the complaints of being bone tired from your losses, all this sadness and grief. We aren't. We're tirelessly working 24/7 without pay, pension, or annual leave. We thought of starting a union, but then Brain advises that we already are. Unionized, that is. So we did the next best thing and sent you some bunions instead. Just a small reminder that your joints matter. From skull to metatarsal, hip bones to tailbone, femur to tibia. We want you to remember that us bones outlast every other organ. We'll still be around long after the rest are gone. Your body they may bury, but bones stay to tell the story. We are history makers, archaeological wonders, the reason you can still trace your ancestry all the way to supernova, formed long before even Earth came to be. So man up and bone up already. We are united and remain unbroken, holding space for you within. And the long and short of it is, you are too, unbroken that is. All the world's merely a stage. So go out there and break a leg already. And we don't mean that literally. Oh, you know what we mean. Yours, Bones.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews, for that dissertation. Always very clever, and what a great deep dive into something that we all know about, but perhaps don't think too much about. I really enjoyed that. And thank you also for the bunions. Julian, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Julian Matthews. On deck is the collab, Jackie, Cathabella, and Lakshman. Please welcome now Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick. Thanks to everybody here tonight. Got a couple poems here, as promised, with some opinions about oats and oatmeal, the confusing, sometimes mixed up terms. My father always called it rolled oats, but then sometimes they called it oatmeal. So this first poem is a recent poem from last week of mine called Rolled Oats. Out on the vast and open plain, these plants were growing in a field where sun and rain did feed their growth. The combines later made them yield their ripened grains, stripped from their stems. Then after days of being stored, they met an even crueler fate than lying in the dark being ignored. Their hearts were crushed by rolling steel and shipped 1,000 miles away. They now will end up in a bowl, cooked up fresh for breakfast today. And that was from a prompt to commune with an inanimate object. And some reason lines from the classic traffic and folk song, John Barleycorn, seemed to filter in there somehow. So for a second poem, I thought I'd read this poem by Galway Kinnell, a 20th century American poet. Went to college with and is good friends with W.S. Merwin. But he's written a poem called Oatmeal. I think his opinions may match a little bit with Rick's here. I eat oatmeal for breakfast. I make it on the hot plate and put skimmed milk on it. I eat it alone. I am aware it is not good to eat oatmeal alone. Its consistency is such that it is better for your mental health if someone eats it with you. That is why I often think up an imaginary companion to have breakfast with. Possibly it is even worse to eat oatmeal with an imaginary companion. Nevertheless, yesterday morning I ate my oatmeal porridge as he calls it, with John Keats. Keats said I was absolutely right to invite him, due to its glutinous texture, gluey lumpishness, hint of slime, and unusual willingness to disintegrate. Oatmeal should not be eaten alone. He said it, in his opinion, however, it is perfectly okay to eat it with an imaginary companion, and that he himself had enjoyed memorable porridges with Edmund Spenser and John Milton. Even if eating oatmeal with an imaginary companion is not as wholesome as Keats claims, still, you can learn something from it. Yesterday morning, for instance, Keats told me about writing the Ode to a Nightingale. He had a heck of a time finishing it. Those were his words. "Oi had a heck of a time," he said, more or less, speaking through his porridge. He wrote it quickly on scraps of paper, which he then stuck in his pocket. But when he got home, he couldn't figure out the order of the stanzas. And he and a friend spread the papers on a table, and they made some sense of them, but he isn't sure to this day if he got it right. An entire stanza may have slipped into the lining of his jacket through a hole in his pocket. He still wonders about the occasional sense of drift between stanzas and the way here and there a line will go into the configuration of a Muslim at prayer, then raise itself up and peer about, and then lay itself down slightly off the mark, causing the poem to move forward with a reckless, shining wobble. He said someone told him that later in life Wordsworth heard about the scraps of paper on the table and tried shuffling some stanzas of his own, but only made matters worse. I would not have known any of this but for my reluctance to eat oatmeal alone. When breakfast was over, John recited To Autumn. He recited it slowly with much feeling, and he articulated the words lovingly, and his odd accent sounded sweet. He didn't offer the story of writing To Autumn. I doubt if there is much of one, but he did say the sight of a just harvested oat field got him started on it. And two of the lines, "For summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells, and thou watchest the latest oozings hours by hours," came to him while eating oatmeal alone. I can see him drawing a spoon through the stuff, gazing into the glimmering furrows, muttering, "Maybe there is no sublime, only the shining of Amnion's tatters. For supper tonight, I'm going to have a baked potato left over for lunch." I'm aware that a leftover baked potato is damp, slippery, and simultaneously gummy and crumbly. And therefore, I'm going to invite Patrick Cavanaugh to join me. I couldn't resist that with all the little references and folks and stuff. So thank you so much, everyone. And I'll put up my usual links in for anyone who wants to check out my multilingual artwork or learn about how to submit to Poetry Golden Network Season 3. Thank you so much.
Martin, thank you so much. Clever poem there that I will think of in the morning as I'm eating my oatmeal alone. It's a sad existence for me in the morning, but one that I'm hoping will keep me alive forever. So there you go. I had blueberries, I should point out.
There you go. I always love blueberries and oatmeal. And I have to say, I did pick that poem out before I learned of your opinion of it.
That's okay. Yeah, and people can read anything they want, regardless of my opinion about it. So there you go. Martin Parker, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Martin. On deck, Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome now the collab tonight featuring Kathabella, Jackie, and Lakshman Bulusu. Hello to all three of you.
Thank you, thank you. And we also have Rick accompanying us. And if you'd like to unmute Kazuaki, you could have a little of his voice, or if you'd like his voice rather than mine. Kazuaki, we're going to call this Let's Have Fun with Kazuaki.
Thank you so much.
Fun with Kazuaki. And Kazuaki says,
Shall I read?
Yes.
Okay, February 21st, Tuesday. The life is hard to live. Therefore, It is worth living. Let's have fun. My soulmate used to say. Kazuaki.
Right. That's where it all started. The soulmate was Sanford Goldstein, the father of English language Tonka. And so we have Peter. Peter Kazuaki, you could read Peter too.
Old enough to drive boat, drink champagne, and have sex. Yet decades may pass before wisdom steps from the wood.
Right. We can't go ahead without Peter and his wisdom. So Kazuaki really brings the world right into focus for us, and he deals always with what's going on. So that's why I wrote 3 trips to Tehran. Soulmates picnic in the mountains of freedom. They smile, saying like we do, our government has nothing to do with us. That's what they said with us, and we heard them resounding, picnicking, bringing all their family into the mountains above Tehran when Rick and I went there. Right, Rick?
Yeah, I remember.
And here's Rick with his flute. Jackie.
Covering my ears, I scream at my non-poet friend. I just can't take any more of your deep philosophy.
Kazuaki.
Armageddon is on the verge, as always it has been. Kazuaki.
Yes, that's a warning. Now, this is an amazing thing. You may not know that Kazuaki is also an artist. So this is a drawing by Kazuaki. It was on the cover of Sanford Goldstein's book, At the Hut of the Small Mind, which is a collection, a Tonka sequence, quite a long Tonka sequence that fills the book. Kazuaki, do you know what kind of tree it is? I was wondering.
Elm.
An elm. Oh, right. So when I saw this drawing, I didn't even know Kazuaki had done it. And I found it very moving. And I think I wrote this before I even knew. He draws the beautiful tree. I feel it leaning on cliff's edge. Our pulse quickens inside the hardwood of a world always about to end. Jackie.
The sunset, gray instead of red, on my way home. How to make the best of my life on this earth.
That's a beautiful one, Jackie.
Thank you, Catabella.
And Joanna is in the UK. She writes with us. All of us are inspired by Kazuaki, and these are all responses to his Tonka. And Joanna wrote, Jackie, I'll let you read because you love reading, Joanna.
As I always do. If we wait to speak our mind, will not favor a language sung from stuff.
Peace doves, that's what we need now, right? And Kazuaki.
I read this. Dust blurred long sunset way home, dragging my feet with flat-tired bike. I was 12 years old.
Oh, an edit, 12 years old. So he has to say that because he really speaks from his own experience. And me too. My little daughter, like a flat tire bike, refusing to move at errand time. I sit down on the sidewalk and join the boycott. True story, Jackie.
The sunset marks the end of another week. Should I rejoice or drag my feet?
So thank you, Kazuaki, and thank you for this beautiful drawing,
Thank
which
you.
I wrote more about this week myself, that I feel like I'm that tree.
Oh,
I feel like I'm that tree, and I right away felt like it was on the edge of a cliff, and you said it was, right? When you
yes.
saw it, that was the situation. You captured it so well that I felt like I was the tree, trembling on the edge of the cliff with the rest of the world.
Well, that's a lovely connection. Thank you all very much for being here. Great to see what you guys come up with and create collectively, and always interesting to see how many different people from so many different places are involved. Rick, what is it that you want to tell us?
Oh, Rick, tell him.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
this is an invented flute inspired by the Javanese suling. It's bigger than a suling, and my flute maker made one for himself, and I played it for me, and I said, I want one. And that came to be.
Yes.
This is the first time we're learning that Rick has a flute maker. Otherwise, we
And that
learned that he
flute
just
maker in
finds them from
Japan,
all over
right?
the world. Sometimes
Japan.
replicas, sometimes he travels to the ancient past and just grabs them from there. And now we know also there's a flute maker. Little bits of info being revealed as time goes
You
on.
thought I make them myself now.
And here's the book that Kazuaki did the picture on the cover.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathabella, Jackie.
Thank you, Rick, for all your inspiration.
Did Lakshman?
Oh, what
wasn't he
happened to
going?
Lakshman? Lakshman, you could speak up. Do you want to go and read a finale?
Yes. Do it.
Okay, yeah, do that. That's why I need them early, so I can put them on the screen. But go ahead and read the two, because you're inspired by Kazuaki too. Just you have to unmute.
Lakshman, you muted. You muted.
Can he unmute, Rick?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So this is in inspiration to Kazuaki's Let's Have Fun. So roses and lilies may not bloom all the time. The interludes, they bloom and rebloom, the glow and glory of life.
That's beautiful.
And I'm going to read a self-renge, which is already published in an anthology. My life is a dewdrop on an early morn lead, jasmine with its fragrant light, wavelets with secrets from the sea, maple in mid-season bloom, snowdrop on a quiet branch, stars shine around me, time pauses. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lakshman. Glad we didn't forget about you there. Thank you, Kathabella. Thank you, Lakshman. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Rick. And thank you, Kazuaki. Great to have you all here. On deck is Bill Gaines. Please welcome our next reader, Jennifer Elise Wang. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, it's been a while. I didn't mean to take a break, but got consumed by the Olympics and then preparing for a trip. But glad to be back. And actually, last month, I did a zine with my friends, and it's a fanzine for the actual play, Shadows of Revelda. And so I'll read the sonnet, because it's become a tradition that I just submit a sonnet for every zine that my friends make. And it's after Shakespeare's sonnet 71, and from the point of view of a character who dies in the series. No longer mourn for me when I am dead. I yearn to valiantly charge into an ending of a warrior's life led. Though selfish may these actions seem to you, new friends, please know I treasure these new bonds we forged, but now I hear the quiet knell of rests I've craved in lands so far beyond. It's time to go. I'm sorry, Zephyrael. I can no longer be your sword or eyes, but know I from the sorrow you shall rise. And I will drop the link to the zine. It's got amazing art. I also write a prose piece in there. And my second poem, since we've been doing tanka, I decided to dig out some of my old tanka that I wrote back in the day. This was actually my tanka interpretation of another poem that I wrote. So here goes. Tap, tap, rustle, rustle, goes the nocturnal creature, and I wonder how one can resist the temptation of slumber.
Nice, Jennifer. So the Olympics stole you from us, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the Olympics, and then I know you saw on Facebook I fractured my finger, which has nothing to do with my ability to read poetry, but that did throw a wrench in my trip planning.
Right, you got to be able to press the unmute button. So I understand. Well, I'm glad. I hope you're feeling better, and that the Olympics was enjoyable. And it's nice to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Round of applause for Jennifer, Elise, Wang, on deck, Michael G. Hickey. Please welcome Bill Gaines. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Rick, and hello, everybody. I have two tonight. First one is called They're There. Tiny spots on a timeline, shining, crying, shouting high, burning constellations in my brain. Memories like bird shots, scattered, random. Black holes in a black void. I can't see them, sure, but I know they're there, and I understand their pull. Into peace. That is that one. And next, in my younger and more vulnerable years, I wrote rhyming poetry, and this is one of them. It's called The Great Bumblebee. I sat down to put pen to paper and realized I lost my pen. So I cursed the world and I cursed your mom and was throwing a tantrum when I heard a voice say, "Mellow out." And I looked up to see a floating, magic, fire-breathing 10-foot bumblebee. His voice was soothing, though it boomed, and filled my breast with awe. His million eyes were cool and calm. In them whole worlds I saw. His wings were still as castle walls, and yet the great bee flew. He hovered 6 feet off the ground and bent my mind askew. He seemed to radiate the light of every color known, and somewhere in the atmosphere a buzzing dulcet tone. I fell to my knees like a beggar, exuding joy and fear. My tongue flopped like a landed fish. My thoughts became unclear. And try as I might, I stammered. It worsened the more I tried. But soon I felt within me grow a calm my nerves belied. Once I saw my panic fits were doing me no good, I let my heart slow down a bit. Eventually I stood. I stood there for a long, long while and stared at that great bee as a million different points of view stared right back at me. "Great bee," I said after much time of basking in his glow, "your patience has a friend in me, but now I need to know. What secrets have you for me, bee? What truth will you impart? What knowledge can I gain from you? Which words will turn my heart?" He hovered, pondering my demands with careful thought, and then, in that great voice, said, "I don't know. But dude, I found your pen." The end.
Now, is that the pen that Kazuaki dropped and then picked up?
The world may never know.
Oh. Oh, shoot. I was counting on that information to get me through the rest of the week, but that's fine. Nice to hear that old piece from you. I think we all look back at our old work and go, "Oh, is that what we used to do?" But I think it's cool to know where we came from and revisit it. So nice to hear that. Thanks for bringing it to us, Bill. Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Round of applause for Bill Gaines. Thank you so much, Bill. On deck is me to close out the open reading. Please welcome now Michael G. Hickey. Hello, Michael.
Hello, all. Bill, I unearthed the first poem I ever wrote in second grade to my second grade girlfriend, Ellen Curl. Here's the poem, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, You're My Girlfriend, You Are, You Are. Roses are red, violets are blue. I hope you like me, 'cause I like you. That was my first poem ever, okay? Anyway. I have a poem that, to be honest, if I believed in trigger warnings, I'd give this trigger warning. This is, I'm just going to read it. It's called Degenerate the Faithful. By order of the prophet, we ban that boogie sound, degenerate the faithful with that crazy Casbah sound. From Combat Rock and the Clash in 1981. It's a warm day in autumn. A bright panoply of leaves permeates streets, gutters, and storm drains as I go to meet an old friend, formerly my poetry writing student, for coffee and scones. She arrives accompanied by a companion, a tall, dark-complected woman with walnut eyes, long lashes, sculpted cheekbones, and jet black hair with tiny breakout curls. She has the warmest smile. We shake hands. She tells me her name is Daria. After minimal small talk, Daria describes how she and her husband escaped from Iran just 10 days earlier. She is on the regime's hit list for refusing to wear a hijab in class one day. It was just one day, but it was a small act of defiance, and the word got out. The morality police were seemingly unimpressed by her academic status, a full professor of women's studies at the prestigious University of Tehran. Well, she explains, at least I used to be a professor. Daria loves Allah. She loves Islam. As a scholar of the Quran, she has practically memorized the entire text. Daria adores Iran, the Iranian people, the history, the art, the architecture. But when her husband found out she'd been green-lighted by the government, there were no more dinner table discussions about whether to stay and hide or leave the country. The morality police considered Daria's offense even worse than Masa's, who was infamously murdered the year before for wearing a hijab improperly, for showing too much hair. Essentially, they killed Masa for refusing to serve Allah in the manner demanded by patriarchal, sadistic madmen who routinely sanction honor killings as the husband's right to punish the woman's infidelity, whether real or suspected. These were the same tribal elders who chanted in unison while surgically removing Daria's clitoris at age 14, unwittingly using unsterilized instruments, which caused a vicious pelvic infection. Now she says, I'm incapable of having children. And to this day, she goes on, I still have nightmares of their chanting. This chanting occurred continuously during the entire procedure, which lasted hours, and she screamed and bled on the bed as red drops of pain dripped to the floor, and that was 20 years ago. This manipulation, she was told, would facilitate her transition from being a girl to being a woman. It would help her remain modest and chaste. It would allow her to praise Allah with full concentration during the salat, praying on her knees 5 times a day. Daria articulates all this to me quite unabashedly in her soft Persian accent, without pause or hesitation, without a hint of vengeance or revenge or acrimony or shame. She goes on to recapitulate the Iranian overthrow of the Shah in 79. The same year, her mother, a widow, was abducted from their family home and beheaded in the public square for owning a disco record, Saturday Night Fever by the Bee Gees. Ironically, her mother's favorite song was Staying Alive. Mom really loved that song, Daria says. My aunt told me that mother used to listen to the record over and over, often with windows wide open, and always while dancing around the living room, just like John Travolta in the movie. Then, one day, without warning, a neighbor, supposedly a friend, secretly reported her to the authorities. Daria's dark brown eyes are wet now, but they do not surrender a single tear. Finally, just as I'm wondering how in God's name this miracle of a woman has managed to survive such trauma, Daria shows me how. She reaches into her briefcase and extracts her poetry notebook inside a leather-bound portfolio. She lays it on the table in front of us. You see, Professor, poetry is how I survive. Poetry is how I still survive, she said. She opens the first page, and written with black magic marker in big block letters is her favorite quote by her favorite poet, the 13th century mystic Rumi. She looks me square in the eye again with that disarming smile. These days, she says, this quote is how I'm staying alive. Here's the Rumi quote. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. She asked if I would read her notebook, and maybe we could meet up again next week at the same time to discuss it. My husband and I are looking for jobs and permanent housing, so life's a bit unpredictable at the moment, she goes on, but I'd like to have this on my schedule. I'm the kind of person who needs to have something to look forward to. The three of us embrace, depart the coffee shop, and slowly I walk home. The leaves seem brighter now, even more ebullient and radiant. In my upstairs den, before I start reading Daria's notebook, I slip on my eyeglasses, sit at the computer, cue the muse, and furiously start writing a poem so poetry can continue to save me, too. Thanks. Sorry that went long.
That's okay. Mike, thank you so much for that piece. Powerful story that you shared with us. Any music from the 70s should only save lives, as far as I'm concerned.
Totally agree.
And
the Clash, they would fit that, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Say it again?
The Clash, they would be right at the top of the list, don't you agree?
Sure.
I mean, no,
I would put, based on your story, I would put all disco at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But the
literally,
Clash is legit, and they should
literally,
be there
Rick, around the time the Clash released this record, they made Western music illegal. It was against the law to listen to it. So this was kind of the Clash, Rock and the Casbahs, kind of their little way of kind of giving them one of these.
Right. Well, a timely piece considering what's going on. We'll see what happens. Michael, thank you so much for being here and sharing it with us.
Thank you, Rick.
Round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. On deck is the rest of your lives. I'm going to close out the open reading with a couple of poems. This one is from my book, High Moose Alert. It's the poem I wrote at the end of my time in Dawson City, Canada, just before going to sleep on that trip before we headed off to Fairbanks, Alaska. It's called Goodnight, Dawson City. Dawson City, Canada only has one paved road. We walked it today, but mostly the unpaved ones, the just dirt ones, the ones which made me wonder if I found a shovel, could I dig up the road? Some of the buildings, or at least one, sunk because their occupants melted the permafrost beneath them. I'd never thought about the word permafrost until today, when much of what I did was look at it. I'm at a point in my life where I could tell you what permafrost is. This is new. It is midnight and still light outside. This is the land of the midnight sun. That sounds like poetry, but I'm just quoting what I heard. Tomorrow we go to the second largest city in Alaska. I'm an international traveler many times over on this trip alone. Tyrell tells us it's just a place, whereas the next place is the destination. He said that about the last place relative to this place. I'm a huge fan of places. I can't wait to meet the next one, and the next. There's that one. And I'm going to close with the poem I wrote for this week's Torah portion. The name in Hebrew of this week's text is Ki Tisa, which means when you take. And the poem is called By Your Command. When all of the people are counted, all of them, not just the ones who look like us, when all of them have their names scribbled in our ledger so it's clear we're in the same wilderness, when every name benefits from the shekels they take from our pockets, when hospitals say, come on in and skip the paperwork, when kindness is a word I no longer have to use in my poems because there is nothing else, when the only reason they're counting is to make sure they have enough for everyone, when we have the patience to let the man on the mountain take all the time he needs, when everyone is wealthy with air and sustenance and love, when all of this is achieved for eternity and beyond, on that day when we have taken what we have taken will be given back in multitudes. On that day, we will have finally done something. I guess I should practice reading my poems. Thank you all very much for being here. Fabulous evening. I want to especially thank Kazuaki for being our featured reader all the way from Japan, pasting the link to his broadside if you would like to download it there on the Cobalt Poets website. Also, when you're on that website, if you would like, you can head on over to the, besides seeing all the broadsides, you can click on the calendar link to see who's coming up in the upcoming months. Next week, as I mentioned earlier, 700th broadside. Kim Addonizio will be our featured reader. Should be a spectacular occasion. If you're not already receiving our emails every week, you can click on email list and add your email there. I think that's about everything you can do there on their website. I think that's it. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks to all our open readers. Thanks to the folks who just came to listen as well. I see you, and I'm glad for your presence. Gonna click on the Ask All to Unmute button, so feel free to say hi to each other.
Hi to each other.
Hey, guys.
Excellent work tonight, everyone. Thank you, Kazuaki. That was fantastic.
Amazing.
I really enjoyed it.
Hey, domo arigato.
Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun, Rick. I'll have to come back again soon. Thank you.
Yay.
Please do, Roger, and hi to Diane as well. If she's
Well, thank you, and it's great to see Kazuaki tonight.
Yes. Thank you for welcoming it.
And Chris
Thank you
also.
for coming, Liz.
Thanks, friends. Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys.
Have a good day.
Hey, guys, can I interrupt for a second and ask, would you like to hear a really crazy thing that happened to me today? Really crazy, okay? I'm at Denny's having a grand slam, seriously, and this little girl a couple tables over is screaming. And so a couple of years ago, I wrote this children's book called Travis the Talking Dog. And so I got down at eye level and I said, I have a gift for you, a book. And so she stopped screaming, and her father looked at me and he was smiling and kind of giving me the thumbs up. And I could tell he wanted to pay me. And I said, no, it's a gift. It's a gift. So anyway, we walk out of the restaurant and he goes to his car with a little girl. And then he comes back and he gives me a book, the Quran.
Oh.
And I know I'm going to read the poem that I read tonight. I knew I was going to read it because I've seen too much of this stuff on TV. I have to process this stuff mentally or I get messed up. So, but he gives me a copy of the Quran, for God's sake, after. So I don't know. It's just the cosmos work in weird ways sometimes,
Wow. Cool story. Wild.
I might even try to read the thing. I mean, it's not that I'm not interested. It's that the print is so microscopic. I don't know if I have any magnifying glasses that will blow it up enough. Anyway. Well, listen, I'm going to
Well,
credit you. Yeah, wow. That was a great reading. Oh, by the way,
I just have to say,
Kim
poets will
Addonizio is
save the
brilliant.
world.
She's the best poet ever. Next week's feature, if you don't know her name, oh my God, I used to teach her. She's the best and best. Okay, I'm sorry, Linda.
No. I was saying poets will save the world, and I agree with what you say about Kim. Yeah. She's fantastic.
She's awesome.
Well,
Okay,
good night to
all.
everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you
Good
for
to be
being
here
here
again.
for us, Chris.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See ya.
Love
Bye-bye.
you, Chris. Thank you for being here.
Okay, see you next week. Thank you.
Special.